Good morning. It is meeting day, and I've been working on this strange idea for this thought recording stuff, and I realized there might be a shortcut to what I'm looking for. So obviously, if I had a handheld device that was constantly connected to my server, I could handle just about anything. I already do some headless typing at home with a Raspberry Pi, and I just have this homeboy, what is it, Topper, what is it called? A Leopold thingy. Keyboard. Leopold keyboard. That I modified to be Bluetooth. And that is connected to or paired up with my Raspberry Pi W that's attached to the back of my gaming monitor. Just sitting there, powered on, doing not much of anything. But it maintains a connection to my server. So once I'm in my server, that session is usually in a TMEX session and in a Vim session, which I call my Headless Notes session. So at any point I can turn on that keyboard, get it synced up, or rather it syncs by itself. Really just turn it on, actually. And then I'll connect to the Raspberry Pi, and I can just start typing in a Vim buffer. And the reason I can do that blind or headless is just that Vim is, first of all, it's all keyboard based, and since it's modal, you can move yourself all around however you want very quickly and easily. So I know that no matter where I am in the current document, or what my state is in that Vim session, unless I'm in like ed mode. Just like, that's actually possible. I should probably remap that. I can hit JK to get back into normal mode, hit capital G to go to the absolute end of the file, and hit O to open insert on a new line at the end of that file. So in four keystrokes, we'll count it as four. In 4 keystrokes, I'm ready to type. And all of that's basically muscle memory at this point, so it's automatic. So then I can just have this keyboard just sitting out and turn it on and start typing into it and get stuff out of my head quickly, and then later come back and check it. So part of the goal was to create something that was a front end for tracking inputs. And like I said, if I had a device that was constantly connected to my server and I could type straight into that, that would be just fine. Like I could very easily cover all that. However, and the cell phone is a prime candidate for that, aside from, of course, the Androidnicity of this particular device that I do not own technically. So it can track stuff and it can do all of this, but it just does it while, you know, Eric Schmidt and the NSA listens in. It's probably just the FBI though, so don't worry about that. Actually, it's probably CIA, I think. It doesn't matter. So there's actually, like, I have this idea that by adding these layers of complexity in entirely different systems that not even Android understands very well, you can get away with some stuff. So long as it's not necessarily visible, because I think as long as it's visible, I mean, like, as long as, and I've talked about this before, as long as your secrets are displayed on the screen of this device, they can be captured. So no matter how complex your program is, you know, it's like the encryption, no matter how complicated your encryption is, it's still going to be able to, you know, you can still pick through the memory and find the message, and barring that, you can take a capture of what is being displayed on the screen, and whatever that information is, whatever that process is, it's generating something for your eyeballs to input. So if I have the most complicated encryption system in the world that hides itself from Android and does all that stuff, Android can still do a screen cap and send it along while you have your decoded message on the screen. Like, just straight bypass. It's like someone using their phone to take a picture of someone's phone doing a Snapchat. Whoops. I've defeated all the security by using my eyeballs. Oh gosh. Okay, so the idea was that if you can get, if you run an emulator on this, that would confuse the data sufficiently for Android to have no data-like idea, I guess. Like the memory structure is all screwed up. So Android wouldn't be like, oh, here's an entry, here's some input. Let me catch that and catch that. So it would have to do a screen. But if you emulate something and then hide it from the screen, such that what you're doing is, you know, even to go so far as to open a window, like say you run Ubuntu on your Android device, and it runs on top, runs emulated on top of Android, which is a whole layer of complexity, several layers, actually many hundreds of layers probably of complexity. And then you make a window, a terminal window, and you open it up and you start typing into it. Well, now Android would have a really hard time picking up what you're typing. It'd probably capture your inputs. Yeah, input capture is probably pretty easy too. Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, input capture would probably be pretty easy to catch. But if you know, my idea was if you drag that window off the screen so that you can't see what you're typing in, then things get a little bit more complicated. Now, if you were in Ubuntu and you were using the on-screen keyboard, now we're getting a little bit, now we're thinking with portals here, if you know what I mean. We're making layers. But the downside of that overall, that was quite a tangent. Sorry. I've just been thinking about the security stuff for a long time. I know there's ways you can make this stuff harder to get. So I could do it on my phone. There's reasons not to. I just described them. I have ideas about what might work. I just described them. But irrespective of those things, the phone loses connection every once in a while. You know, I drive around. I said that if I had a little handheld device that was always connected, no problems. Well, this is not always connected, because it'll, you know, signal will come, signal will go, problems will arise, the phone goes to sleep, it's not necessarily taking input. This is actually the Note series, or the earlier Note series, has a really nice Snapdragon processor that has a really good sleep. And when it does go to sleep, you save a lot of battery, so it's part of why the Note series are so great. But it means that there's no processing while the phone's off. You know, you get services, but I think they're very limited. Point being, I remembered Mosh. Mosh is a SSH connection program that caches your inputs when it's not connected, displays what it can display when it is connected, and just is much more tolerant of something being connected like a phone and connection coming and going. So using that, I think you can get a lot of the way there, because I can actually have the phone connected in a Mosh session and be typing into the phone and then lose connection entirely for 3 hours And while that phone is on and open, and I have a keyboard or whatever, I can be typing into it for 3 hours. And as soon as it gets reconnected, all of that goes upstream. So that might be the ticket. Especially if I have input sets that are like, you know, in here, I have menu commands or something that I can type those menu commands in, and then escape, get back to the beginning, and now I'm back at that starting state so that I know exactly where to go in order to accomplish what I need to accomplish. All right, bye.